Welcome to Do the Talk podcast. In this podcast, we're going to teach regular people how to invest in real estate. I am your host, Ibrahim Ojerinde, and my co host is Ahmed Lawal. We are committed in making real estate investments seamless as much as possible. So, if you are looking to learn how to invest in real estate, you have come to the right place. We always say this is not a get rich quick scheme. You have to put in the work and things will fall in place. We are committed to make sure we bring you practical, verifiable knowledge. Hamid, how are you doing today?
Ibrahim, it's another great Friday. I'm
Awesome.
feeling great. You know, and welcome, guys. Like we always say, we are doing this for free, and we are making sure we are not keeping this knowledge to ourselves. The only thing that we ask is for you to participate, drop your questions so we can answer them. You can do that through Facebook, you can do that through uh, um, YouTube. So basically, you can drop your comments in on any platform you are watching us from, and we will be able to answer your question. And also, kindly follow us on Instagram and subscribe on our YouTube channel because this is how we reach more people, and this is how this information can be beneficial to more people. So it's not really for us, but it is going to be useful for everybody else. Um, Ibrahim, today's topic is something that it's very impactful. Not so many people think about this when they want to invest in real estate.
Sure.
We always tell people what to do. Buy a house, buy a land, this. We don't not a lot of people tell them what not to do.
Sure.
What to look out for, things that can get them to quit even before they start. So today is going to be about that. It's a different animal to talk about things that you need to do to be successful, and it's a different game to talk about what not to do. To me personally, what not to do is very, very important because that is what we tell you what to do, and we guide you and make sure you are avoiding the mistakes that is avoidable. So Ibrahim, today is about things not to do when you things to avoid, literally, like things you want to run away from if you can, when you are buying real estate. So do you want to start us off, or how do you know
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can give it a start. I'm sure our audience, they can't wait to hear from us tonight. And we want to appreciate you guys for coming. Joining this episode. It means a lot to us. And for those of you that, you're probably busy and you have some other things going on, you can go to YouTube after this show and watch it, and so we can all learn and grow together. For some of you that are, sneak watching, we love you. We want you to come to the episode and share with your friends, your family, your brothers, your co-worker. It's gonna be beneficial for everyone. We always say we want to learn and grow together, and we are committed to always bringing this to you guys every Friday. So before I jump into um, all the things that the major things that you don't need, like you need to watch out for, things that you don't do. We've talked about do's all the time. Now I want to go to do not. um I want to say thank you to our constant and very solid audience, D. Thank you for all this um coming to the episode. All right, so today we want to talk about do not. Now, the first thing I would say is do not buy a investment property without an exit strategy. That's the first thing you have to think about. Like, so what is exit strategy? Exit strategy is a method or a arranged business plan that you want to carry out while you are buying your after you purchase your property. But we want you to think about that before even buying the property. So, can I give a little example? Sure. The example is one of the strategy is long term leasing. The second is middle term leasing, and the last but not the least is the short term leasing. All of them, I can give you a little example. The short is like, verbal Airbnb. Sometimes Airbnb fall into the middle class category, but typically it's shorter. Now the middle one is, someone who wants to, like, corporate housing, someone who wants to live for 6 months, 9 months, or someone who has like a unfortunately facing some disaster in their primary home and they have to go somewhere to live temporarily. And of course, the long term is the normal leasing, where someone can stay a year, two, three, five, six, as long as they want, as long as the landlord and the tenant agrees. So now those are the common strategies. Now, before you buy a house, you should already know which one you want to do. If it's short you want to do, great. If it's long, no problem. As long as it's working for you, we don't have problem with that. We always emphasize that we want you to
Yep.
do a business as long as it works for you. We are not saying this one is better or that one is better in this episode. So if you already determine which one you want to do, we want plan A and plan B. That is the most advisable, strategy. I mean, method we would like you to explore. Like, you have an A maybe you want to start with short term. You have a strategy. You have the plan B of mid-term or long-term leasing. As long as you do your math and the short is okay, the long is okay, or the middle is okay and the short is okay, or the middle and the long is okay for you, then you can go ahead and buy the house. As far as you consider other do not that are not on the list, then you can go ahead and do it. Now, the second one I want to talk about is until you finalize it. I mean, thinking about it is different from really solidifying your strategy. The reason why I said that, let's say you think about you're going to do short term, but you have not go to that neighborhood or ask if that neighborhood will accept short term leasing. Typically in the HOA covenant, it will say, covenant restriction, it will say no transient leasing. It won't necessarily say no Airbnb, because most of this neighborhood, when they build those houses, there's nothing called, nothing like Airbnb. So it will say no transient leasing. If the HOA is saying that, then you cannot even do Airbnb in that neighborhood. And we wouldn't like you to, after you making up your strategy to be short term or mid term, however, because you did not go ahead and find out if that neighborhood would let you do that short or middle term, now you purchase the house, now you are stuck, or you are forced to do long-term leasing, because long-term leasing is maybe allowed in that area, even though they say no transient. Transient means no short term. They want it to be normal leasing. If the number still works, then you are lucky, but majority of the time it might be so tight or may not even work for you. We don't want you to run into that kind of problem, and then you are forced to do long term, no cash flow or very low cash flow. Then it feels like, you just run into a loss or whatever. So then you're forced to sell the house. So we don't want you to go through all that. So before you actually solidify your plan to make it like 100%, is what I'm doing, you have to make sure that neighborhood will let you do whatever strategy you picked. Okay. So the third one is, make sure the business is profitable. Now, when I say profitable, everybody has his or her own margin. Everybody has his or her own, like, okay, it has to be 10%, 5%, 20, whatever percentage works for you. Make sure you can eat that percentage or more. We're not going to advise you to buy real estate because it's real estate and you are running into loss. We don't do that here. You have to buy real estate that is profitable. It has to really work for you. If you want 8%, fine, great. If I made one 12%, 15, 20, if it works for him, great. So just make sure it is profitable, where after you taking out the repair, the maintenance, and other expenses, you are still good. So if it's not suitable, do not buy the house. The next one is avoid property that is very close to some low cost housing or apartment buildings. Now, of course, this will not be a problem in every locality. The reason why, in general, it might be a problem is because when you live close to a low cost housing or apartment, if you buy a property around that area, typically there's a chance of, burglary issue, robbery, um, you know, unnecessary noises. And consider, imagine you want to use that same property for short-term leasing, where you want, because short-term is considered like a kind of luxury or semi-luxury home for people that are coming for vacation, for event or something. So they won't necessarily feel that property just because the area may not look nice or may not, when you get to some area, you can feel that, vibe in that area. And so, as long as your strategy, it requires a better neighborhood, it's better you avoid something like that, so of course we've seen some area where the townhome or the apartment is luxurious and everything is good. Yeah, in that situation you don't have any problem, you can buy a house close to those kind of apartment, especially when you are trying to do a vacation rental where it's gonna, you want to juice everything up. But um but you want to do short term in a neighborhood that is not conducive, it might cost you a loss. Like, people will come the first or second time and they're going to give a bad review, or some people actually make a research before they book your house, and if they see that this neighborhood is not what they would like to stay, or they probably won't book it. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation, so you have to make sure buy what works for your strategy. So do not buy when it's very close to low housing or um, you know low cost apartment building. The next one is, do not buy if your if the neighborhood, I think I this it kind of work with the before. It's still the same thing. So make sure the strategy work for that neighborhood. Whatever property you buy, make sure your strategy works for that neighborhood. Now, Ahmed, what do
Yeah.
you so there are some situations where, like, you buy a property, things are okay from start when you first buy the property, but because um, maybe there's a big AT&T company and they decided to buy, maybe they've already bought the tower, I mean the land to build a tower, but you don't know about that, or um, for some reason, or they decided to come to that area and buy the land and build their tower, the communication tower close to, you know or almost close to that property. What do you think, you know does that have any effect on property, or what would you say on that?
Thank you, Ibrahim. You know, you've really get us going and dish out a lot of information already.
Sure.
But absolutely, that might affect not really the strategy that you mentioned earlier, but the value of the property itself. You
Sure.
and I know that when you buy real estate, cash flow is just like the icy on the cake.
Hmm.
It's
Sure.
not where the wealth is being built. The wealth is being built in equity. The wealth is being built by paying down the mortgage on the house. That is where you are actually building the wealth. So
Yeah.
real estate is a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. So it's going to be a very bad investment that you buy a house of 100,000 today, and 15 years down the line you want to sell it, you are selling it for 100,000, 120,000. even though you've cash flow all along, even though you've used that property to write off some expenses all along, what would have been very great, what would have made it a perfect investment is you have cash flow, you have written it off so far, and at the end of the day, you are selling it at a higher price, right? Because that
Yeah.
is where your huge chunk comes in, and that is how people become millionaires through real estate. So that can affect the value of the house, just because buyer determine the price. I always tell people this.
Yeah.
People always think, oh, the my house should worth so amount. And I'll shake my
Yeah.
head like, nope. Buyer determine the price. If you
Yeah.
want to sell your house for 200 and nobody is willing to buy it, then you will be forced to lower the price. It's
Yes.
just normal economics on anything. So let's say you want to sell a egg for $2 and nobody is willing to pay $2. What will happen is you will be forced to bring it down to the price that people will be able to afford, or you don't sell it. That is the
Yeah.
only two options. And you want to sell it, so you will need to bring it down. So buyer determine the price of a commodity. So
Yes.
if someone wants to come buy that house and they see that development after you bought it, or maybe, just like the scenario you painted, like I bought it, but I don't know that things like that is coming in, that might affect the value of the house. That is just, but I don't think it's necessarily affect the strategy,
Okay.
uh, but like I said, the value of the house is the equity in the house is where everybody makes huge million that they painted about real estate. So
Sure.
real estate can be profitable right now, but it's a long-term game. When you pay down
Yes.
that mortgage and the value rises, that is where the money that move people to buy real estate, that is where that kind of money is being made. So I think that answered the question. Let me know if you want me to explain further on some things. uh Another thing
That answered
that
the
our
question. You can
audience.
go ahead.
Oh, okay.
That answered the
Another thing
question,
that
but you can go ahead.
Okay, another thing that our audience might want to consider when they are buying real estate is high ticket items. When I say
Yeah.
high ticket item is, get an inspector to come view the house, so they can tell you if the foundation of the house is bad, if the roof needs to be replaced. You mentioned water heater earlier. It's a high ticket item. Things like plumbing and electrical. High ticket item can be structural or mechanical, right? So things like electrical, you want to make sure that the plumbing and the electrical in the house still meets the code of that city or that locality. It won't make any sense to pay the purchase price close on the house, and let's say call an inspector at the end of the day, and they check and they tell you, like, you know what, you need to rerun all the wiring in the house, you need to do the plumbing in the house again, all over again. That is going to be a lot of money, and that can kill the your business before you even get off the ground, right? So I recently have an experience of things, something like that. It's not a huge, it's an error on their hand. However, you want to make sure that you do your due diligence before you buy the house, because that can turn around and be something big. Thank God it
Yeah.
doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt me in any way, because we check it and we make sure everything is fine. But that is the essence of getting an inspection done before you buy the house. Because let's say they finally find something out and they ask me, like, oh, I need to do the plumbing all over again. Guess what I might do? I might just sell the house, because it doesn't worth it anymore. And that is me uh because I miss a step of due diligence, now paying the price before the business even get off the ground. So we advise our audience to always make sure they get an inspection done. Off market, sometimes inspection might not be an option for you because of the time frame. You need to close quickly. You know, there's a lot of bidding going on, and you don't want to miss on the deal. So you want to take your contractor with you. You want to take someone that knows what they are doing, you know, with you, so that they can inspect the property and give you feedback on what they think it might be going wrong with the property, structural wise and mechanical wise. So that's a very good one for our audience. Make sure you get inspection done before you buy a house. It's self-explanatory, but as simple as it is, even the professionals still fall victim of this. Just because speed is very important when you are buying real estate. So sometimes you might just be like, oh, no, let. So I'm going to give an example. This doesn't happen to me, but it happens to someone that I know. He bought a house, and they do some walkthrough and all that, but they did not catch that when you go inside the attic of the house. Attic is like the ceiling part of the house. When you go inside there, they have a rope that they use to hold the house together. The house like already falling apart. So they have a rope they use to hold the house together. So that is huge, and you don't want to rent that kind of a house out, because you yourself will not be able to sleep knowing that the house can collapse on the people inside the house, and that can be a huge
That's
case.
basic. That's basic.
It might end up being a felony. Yeah, it might end up being a felony issue. So sometimes when things are cheap, check it very well. I don't say there's no good deal out there, but when things are really, really cheap, check it very, very well. So that is where inspection is very, very crucial in real estate. Another thing that I want our audience to pay a close attention to is environmental hazard. Nobody really talks about this so much, but it's real, right? It's very, very real. You don't want to buy a house in a flood zone area. You're probably going to end up with no insurance on that house, because insurance to check if your house is in a flood zone before they issue that policy out to you. So you want to make sure that your house doesn't have any environmental issue going on in that neighborhood. Maybe there's a soil issue, contamination, uh, um, any pest issue going on all around that area, which comes back to soil issue. So, but flood is a very big one. Um, i- Insurance are being very, very critical. Like, I was trying to get insurance on a house recently. House that normally the insurance will be around $60-$70 before. They are the lowest quote I was able to get was 250. That
Yeah.
is to tell you that insurance are being very, very uh how will I put it? They are
Yes.
making sure that even if they are going to insure your house, you are paying the right amount of money for it. So it's a very big thing to make sure that no environmental hazard is ongoing in that area, because what you will end up with is insurance is going to be higher than your mortgage. And you don't want that. That is even if you have any company that wants to insure the house. So that's another big one for me. And I think a lot of people overlook what they need to. We always buy house and started looking for insurance, and that is the wrong way to do it. You want to get a quote, make sure you have a quote. Even some right now mortgage company are making sure you have insurance before you close because they don't want to insure the house. They don't want to put their money on the house and end up not being able to find insurance for it. So they will tell you go and get an insurance before you close. So that's another big one that we do it backwards. This happens to everybody. It's not like, hey, if you get it wrong one time, it's beating yourself up for it. I just told you about myself right now. So finding insurance before you buy a house is huge. So really try as much as possible, get a comfortable quote, and make sure that everything is in that coverage. You are not just paying for the basic or the bare minimum coverage, because if things happen, it, insurance know how to be sneaky about that, things like that. Um, Another thing is make sure you check all the legal document of the house. What do I mean by that? So, is there any lien on the house? Lien is, how will I put this? The previous owner of the house or the seller owed someone certain amount of money, or taxes on the house, or it can be HOA lien, it can be any kind of lien, it can be contractor liens. You will be surprised that people work for previous owner of the house and now they already put in on the app because that person failed to pay them, right? So you want to make sure that you check all the legal documentation and ensure that there's no any encumbrance on the house. Typical real estate terms will be cloud. We call it cloud. Is there any cloud on the house? So something that siege the house from you being able to acquire it or being able to sell it or transfer the deed to someone else is what I mean by cloud. So this is typically what title company will do and do a title search. But not every transaction go through title, right? You can close on a house without using title. Title is an extra layer for you, a third party that takes care of both sellers and the buyer, making sure there's no biases in the transaction. But you don't have to close with title. That is why you need to make sure you know all your legal documentation are clean and there's no lien on the house. And if there's any lien, you make sure you put it into account why the house is in title, or maybe why the house is in escrow, so that those can be paid off and be free of all these encumbrance or cloud when you close. So uh, it is very, very important. I cannot stress it enough. Make sure you check all your legal documentation. Another one is make sure the zoning is right. So basically, if a house is zoned for single family, you don't want to go ahead and buy it as a multi-family, because people do conversion that they don't take permit for, right? That is one thing about me. If I like small multi-family, just because of the cash flow. That's basically the only reason. However, I don't for now, at least for now, I don't buy anything that is converted. If it is converted, I don't buy it, just for this one reason. You will be surprised how many percentage of conversion is not in the city document. It's not in the city knowledge. And when you get there, when you buy that house, you get there, you want to do something in the future. That is when they. And one thing about them is once you tip them off that so thing it happens in that house, and it is not in their documentation, guess who they're going to blame? Guess who they are going to hold responsible? You. And you are not the one that do it, right? You bought it that way, but they are not going to say because you bought it from someone that way, it's the person's responsibility. No, you are the owner, you are the person that hold the deed. So you will be responsible for that kind of conversion that was not documented. So that is why I try to run away from it, and that is why I'm advising you check your zoning very well and make sure that it's clear of any lane zoning issue that permits and all that before you jump in and buy the house. Ibrahim, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, pretty much you said a lot and very instructive and um, very knowledgeable. We appreciate your knowledge that you're passing to us. Um, I just want to say if you are in a well defined flood area, for example, like some people that invest in Florida and some area there, it's hard to stay out of flood. You might just have to get flood insurance. It's gonna be expensive, but as long as you have factored that into your investment, you should be fine. But here in Indiana, where we are not, Indiana is not a typical flood state. So you have a lot of choices. You don't necessarily have to buy in a flood area. So I guess that's what my colleague is saying. Like here, especially here in Indiana, you don't have to because there's a lot of houses. And why would you even think about going to flood zone when you you don't even have, you have more options. So um but yeah, he has said everything that we need to keep in mind before we buy a house, because especially this conversion thing, the city does not care. You are the one that own it now. They don't care about who did it, when did they do it. That's not their problem. You own it now. You face the brunt. You face the problem. So you have to make sure if you don't know what to look for, just stay away from conversion. Ahmed.
Absolutely. Um, Another thing that I want to mention is my past experience, right? It's very good to keep a open relationship with people that, there's a lot of profession in real estate. We have, escrow officer, we have real estate agents, we have wholesalers, we have, the seller, we have the buyer, we have contractor, we have the painter, we have everybody's, we have a lot of profession under the umbrella of real estate. And what I want to bring up with that is you want to build up relationship with everybody as much as possible. Why is that? I once tell this story, but I'm gonna say it again. I got into contract with a house in Kokomo, Indiana, and the house is a good deal. It's perfect. Honestly, it's a seller financing deal,
Oh, cool.
and I'm hoping to just flip the house, put a renter in there, and cash flow. Right. I was planning on putting 20, no, 15,000 into it for rehab. And another thing, I'm gonna come back to that. Let me jot that down so that I didn't forget. So there was this thing that just I just thought about it, like let me take my contractor there. Let me seek someone else's opinion on this thing. So I took my contractor down to Kokomo, and we immediately we got down from the car. The guy looked at me and shake his head like, "Nope, you are not buying this." And one thing about my contractor is he is very, very. It's just uh we are very compatible because he tell you the way it is. Even he's gonna tell you, Amir, you're gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. This is what it is. So we walked through the house, and on our way back to Indianapolis, it's like, are you planning on buying that house? I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's why I bring you here." And it's like, you are not buying that house. I'm like, why? He said, do you see the soil is saturated with water? So that is why all these guys are running out of there. That is why they are trying to sell their houses. So the soil is saturated with water. with water already. So all the cross space is filled with water. And now that water already caused mold in all the walls in the house. He was opening the wall a little bit while we are in there, but I didn't know what he was checking, right? Because it's not my area of specialty, but he knew what he was looking for. And he pointed out to me, like, you see the apartment close by? And I said, yes. He said, you see how slopey that soil is? He said, all the water from that area that is high is like coming and
Going
filling the
down to.
space. So they don't have good water with they don't have good. So that is to tell you that and I still went ahead to try to get a quote from him and some other guys. I plan to spend 15,000 on the rehab, but the quote I was getting is 40,000. Mind you, that is not the end. That is just to fix the house. It's not in any way, you know, combating the water that this guy complained about. So that is just to bring the house up to somewhere that I will be able to get it to rent out. But that will still not stop where the problem is coming from, which is the fact that the soil is saturated with water
Yeah,
already. So
yeah,
when you are checking out a house, I cannot stress it enough. Make sure you take someone that knows what they are doing with you. You know, if you are going to go into contract, my 500 is still with the title company till today, even though we have it in the seller's agreement in the contract that if I find anything that makes, doesn't wasn't refilled by the seller, I can get out of the contract and the buyer to sign a mutual agreement to get out of to get out of escrow. I signed mine. The guy never signed his, and they never refunded me my
the
honest money.
honest money.
So what I'm trying to say is the honest money is not my problem because at least I can get out, thank God to my contract. But if I didn't take that guy that can be honest with me, if I decided to go with a contractor in Kokomo, probably they're going to be like, he wants the house done. I'm going to get the house done. They are not going to tell me what is actually causing the problem and why the seller is probably running away from fixing the house himself. So this is to really emphasize on build up a relationship with all these people, contractors, appraiser, escrow officer, uh, even wholesalers, real estate agents, brokers. Build a relationship with them because there will come a day that they will save you a lot of money. Real estate transaction is one of the transactions that is not pennies. It's a lot of money. And once you make one mistake, that can cost you your entire financial uh, uh, that can cause an issue, a financial issue in the future. So you want to make sure that you do all your due diligence, and the only way I think you can do it is to leverage other people's knowledge. Make sure these guys that they are in there to provide you their service when you need it. But if you don't have a good relationship with them, they might be like, well, it's not my problem. I'm just going to tell him what he wants to hear. But if you have a good relationship with them, they are going to tell you it the way it is. They know that at the end of the day, if they save you from this and you end up seeing it, you're always going to bring business to them, right? You're always going to refer them to other people. So they're not going to try to just get your money and get lost, right? So that only comes from relationship. I know that is not the topic we are discussing today, but however, I want to bring that up because my relationship saved me. That is 25,000, right? Because I was budgeting 15,000 and the repair comes out to be 40,000. My relationship saved me 25,000. So that is a lot of money. That can be another deal on its own. That money is enough for me to buy another deal. So the story I was forgot about the one I was going to tell the other time. But in a nutshell, make sure you always take someone that know what they are doing with you. Ibrahim, do you have any addition on that?
Yeah. So no. Yeah. In addition to all you have said, do not buy if the property is close to a burial ground. I mean,
Oh yeah.
this might sound sentimental, but I mean, a lot of people will prefer to, like when you're trying to sell resell the house. A lot of people prefer to buy a house out of such a area, because it involves a lot of emotion and so it might affect the resale value. So like a cemetery and all that. The next one is, do not buy if the property is close to a power line. The reason why I'm going back to that is because when we know some science about this, like, okay, when it's close to a power line, the radiation and all that. um a lot of people are conscious of that, like they don't, especially when you are trying to resell the house. um it might work for your business that you're trying to do. At the same time, with real estate, you have to think about when you are done with that business, or when you are trying to lego that house to invest in another asset. So if you can avoid it, avoid it. you know Next one is, do not buy if there's a easement issue. Now, when I say easement, I'm not talking about the regular just sewer line going across your, backyard or anything. No, I'm talking about when there's a way, like a road, where another people from another, I mean, your neighbor will have to cross behind your house to go to the main road, or they have to go in front of your house to the main road. Without going in front of your property, they cannot get out to the main road. So if you find yourself in that situation, I would recommend, do not buy it, especially when you have other options. Because what will happen is, when you're trying to lego the property, or that alone will cause some extra noise. Because of course, when people are driving, the sound, the car sound, or vehicle sound, it can be a big truck, it can be anything, it will be noisy and all that. And especially when you're trying to use that property for a short term or middle term leasing. um because that kind of leasing, they kind of expect some kind of, like, everybody wants peace, don't get me wrong, but they kind of want a quiet and a relaxing environment. So you don't want to get a property that easement is a big issue. The next one I'll go to is, do not get a house that is close to a major road, like with a high, especially with a high traffic. Do not buy that kind of house, because it will limit.
I was going to ask you that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to buy, especially for, so if you are buying it for, like, let's say you want to make a real, you buy it for an office, real estate business, or like other kind of business that you want people to visibly see that property, just because it creates more business for you, that is different. But when you're buying it for to lease it out, especially when you are trying to do short term or middle term leasing, when it's on the major way, where there's traffic, there's the car going with the speed, with high speed and all that, it will affect your tenant. Like, people will just kind of see it as, first of all, it's dangerous, for especially for people that have young kids and you know maybe pet. Also, they will see it as a noisy place in most cases. Of course, not all area will be noisy, but when there's a lot of traffic, when the car go every I don't know, maybe every 2 seconds or something, it will naturally create noise, because when something moves, the next one, the noise will kind of stay in the air. And also, some people will see it as a not clean area. I'm talking about the hair. The hair in that area may not be as clean as they want it to be, because as you are driving your car or your vehicle is emitting some carbon monoxide, and you know, all of them, they stay in the hair. They don't just go like that. So health wise, some people will not like it. Noise is part of the reason why some people will not like to stay there. Um, Safety, which is the major one. Some people will not like to stay there because of that, especially people that have little kids and pet. So if you are doing that kind of business where you want to house people in that house, try to avoid it as much as possible. Except if the exception is if the house is far inside. For example, the major way, but before you get to your house, you have to drive a little bit into the to the lot before you get to your house. That might be a little acceptable. But if it's so close to the road, it's not really good. Even it's gonna kill the value of the house. Like, your house will not grow fast. Like, the demand, everything is demand and supplies. So if people are reluctant to buy your house, technically it's cutting down your equity gradually. It might not be so huge, but depending on how far it stays on the market. So I will not encourage you to buy anything that is close to the road, except if you are trying to use it for an office and a business that it has to be where, well visible and all that. Then that would be the best for you. So it really depends on what you're trying to do with the property. The last one but not the least is, do not buy. Oh, I think I may already talk about this. So, just make sure your your lot, your house is clean. Do not buy. I don't mean clean like dirt clean. I'm talking about clean, free of harms, like free of harmful substances, free of chemicals, free of toxins, free of some bio or non-bio um, toxins, like um, cocaine, methamphetamine, and because we've seen situation where some people are doing such a business in their house, they do recreational drugs and all that stuff, and sometimes they have to bury this stuff just because of it's illegal and all that. So you want to make sure the house is free of all those toxins. Most cases when something like that is happening in the house, it kind of opened the house to some other um, non like, for example, radon, because there are a lot of bad air, a lot of um, toxic substance that is going on in the hair and everything in the property. So it's even dangerous for human to inhale and exhale in that kind of environment. So um, make sure your house is clean of all that bad substances. um, Besides, if you, let's say, you get into those kind of property and you are not sure, and um, you buy it, and after a while the city realize or the government realize something like that is going on, or it used to go on in that area, they will still warn you. Like, they will send like an inspector or something to make sure that area is now safe for the new people that are there. And believe me, if they have to spend any money to make sure it's safe, you will be the one facing that bill. They don't care somebody did it before, whatever. You own it now, so you will face that charges, to get it cleaned and everything. So we don't want you to um, be be responsible for unnecessary charges. So that is why we are saying, do your assignment, avoid all these do's. I mean, don't, rather avoid all these don't, and put more emphasis and make sure you um, check box all the do's, and then you'll be fine with your business. So, Ahmed, at this point, those
Yeah.
are the don't that I have. Do you have any more don't?
Yeah. I I got one last one to go. Check the attics of the house. Why do I say that? There are multiple reasons why you want to check the attics. One is you want to make sure the house have enough proper uh, ventilation and insulations.
That's good.
Um, Another reason is you want to make sure the mold is not growing up there, because at some point it's going to spread across the house. And typically, it usually starts there, because if there's any leakage in the roof, that is where the water is going to be, dumping
Stay.
first before it's, comes down, or before anybody even notices it. It's going to be up there first. So you want to check your attic for that. Um, Another reason is if there's any dangerous animal living up there, you want to uh, you want to make sure you check that. Basically, you are checking attics for so many things, but those are the ones that cross my mind right now. Insulation is very key, because at some point you're going to be running heat and the AC and the heat in the house. And if you don't have enough insulation, you're going to be noticing that your bill is rising, right? Because all the heat is not being kept in the house; they are going outside. So, and ventilation as well. If the place is kind of too close up, it can create mold. It can build up and started damaging things. So you both is very very important. You need to make sure you check attics. We don't see any questions so far, Ibrahim. Would there be any other thing, just general thing that cross your mind that you want to put out for our audience? Just to benefit. Just anything really. It might be something you've been want to share or something like that. Just anything, just to make sure we keep our
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah. I would just say, I mean, even we just mentioned all the don'ts now, and we've been talking about the do's that you have to, do to. I mean, make sure you carry them out so you can maximize your profit and be, profitable in your business. Um, However, I want to point out that we are not saying all this and to necessarily scare you or make you feel like, um, if you don't check all these boxes, you are in trouble. No, that doesn't mean you you still have to get started. Do your research, talk to people that are doing it, and get it done. There's nothing good that comes easy. I'm sure all of you've heard this adage before. It's you just have to get started. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
get into it. Um, no matter how much information you are getting every day, you still have to put it into practice. Knowledge is not there for you to just stockpile it. It's there for you to put it in reality. I mean, to practicalize it. That way, your dream will come to reality. So I'm using this medium to encourage everyone to go out there, call people, especially people that are doing what you are open to do or what you are planning to do. Call them, hey, bro, I need this. Oh, sister, I want to do this. I've been trying to get this, get that. Um, I don't know where to start from. Or you can start with YouTube. you know you're watching us now, or you can go to do the top podcast, watch the all the episode we've done, watch the one that we'll be doing for the next 1 or 2 weeks. Then you take action, after getting those information, because you will not get all the information from A to Z. You will not get it, because experience is the best teacher. You just have to get the basic and get started. When you are doing it, you'll be learning as you go. So nobody knows it all. We are, we are learning as the same way we are teaching. We are passing this message so that everyone will be informed before going into this business. So we'd like to grow with you. Keep watching Do the Talk podcast. Let us keep creating this, you know, informed and very focused environment. That's our goal. Our goal is to keep, we are committed and we'll keep coming every Friday to make sure you guys are well informed. And we want to see you, you know, give a testimony maybe 1 or 2, 3 years to come and say, okay, I follow your process, or I follow the instruction and I'm now doing well. So I'll be excited to hear that in the next 2, 3 years to come, because we are dedicated to, and we are we can't wait to hear that. Ahmed, what do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, from what I heard you talked about is what the action you've been taking so far. You go to college, you learn apprenticeship, you do this, you do that. That is what brings you to where you are today. To be able to move ahead or get a different result, you need to push your limits. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to see, Ibrahim, I was going through the house with the appraiser today, and my chest is beating so fast. You're going to see things that will challenge you. You're going to see things that will scare you. You go to
Mhm.
see things that will discourage you. But that brings me back to why. Why are you doing it? Because that is very important, and that is what will take you out of the moment of being scared.
Right. Mhm.
Take you out of your fear and help you navigate those difficult times. Uh, Another thing that has been really coming through my through people have been calling me about recently is people are asking, oh, I like what you guys are doing, I want to invest as well, but I don't know how to start, or I don't even have any money, oh, I'm waiting for. Guys, there will never be a perfect time.
Mhm.
There will never be a perfect time. And
Never.
another, I made a video about this earlier today. A lot of us have some money that we don't even know that we have. So this goes by, if you have a good job, good paying job, and you have a 401k and you've been working for the past 5 to 10 years, you have a money that you don't know you have. That's if you own a house for the past 3 4 years, probably by now you have a money that you don't know you have. I can go on and on and on. But if you don't take action and move closer to people that can actually enlighten you and show you all this hiding gem that you are just sitting on without realizing it, nothing will happen. There's no miracle that will push you. You need to push yourself. The same set of people that you talked to yesterday are the same set of people you talk to again today. You need to change something for something else to happen. You are not just going to turn a millionaire overnight. You need to actually act on some information that you have. And obviously, the people that you talk to so far is has pushed you to where you are. To actually make a difference, now you need another set of people. I'm not saying stay away from your old friend. That is not my point. My point is now they've taken you this far to actually push your limit and go further. You need new set of information. There's a lot of information out there. It's not about lack of information at this age, but which one is right, which one is practical. All over my social media, YouTube, and everywhere, when I'm listening to things, I keep seeing people. If you follow this, you get rich in 14 days. If you follow this, you get rich in a week. If you follow this, you're going to get a IT job in 45 days. What is all this? You know, this is where people are stuck because they want a result now. You've been doing it for the last 2 years, buying courses upon courses and no show, right? You by now you should have realized that this is not right. You need to follow a practical step. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, uh, this guy Warren Buffett didn't start making money on his investment until age 55. Today, he is known as the greatest investor on the planet Earth. He is known for something that he never actually started getting results until age 50. So that tells you that if you're looking for a quick way, a quick, you know, box, you need to rethink. Long term is the right game. Long term is, I'm not saying don't look for money right now, but what I'm saying is plan, execute, and things will happen. All right. Ibrahim, do you have any addition or we good to go?
No, no. It's time over. We've run out of time.
Yeah.
So Ahmed, if they want to reach out to you, what do they need to do?
You can reach me on official Ahmed Lawal or 317-531-9685. And I'm very open and I'm ready to have a, you know, conversation. I don't do small talks. If you're ready for, big dream, big anything, talk to me. I'm an action taker. Let's do it together, right? Ibrahim, if they
Yeah.
want to reach out to you, how can the people reach you?
Yes, it's on the screen there, IB Routers, or you can DM me, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, 317-728-0213. Just let me know anything concerning real estate. There's always a solution. We'll navigate through it and get it done. Okay. Have a good one, guys.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next
Yeah,
week,
bye.
Friday.